Hi, everybody. Welcome to In the School Parking Lot. My name is Paul. I'm so glad you're with us. I'm going to ask you a question. What if I told you one of the most important experiments for understanding America today was not conducted this year or even this century? It happened in 1951 with nothing more than 3 lines and a piece of paper. Yet that simple experiment may explain why so many people today are afraid. They are afraid to believe what they can plainly see. Hey, again, thanks for being here. If you like what you see, please share, press the like button, subscribe. We do have a Venmo and a PayPal account. We'd love to have your financial support. But more importantly, subscribe, help the algorithm spread people's opinions. But let's keep going. Today, I want to take you back to a psychology experiment conducted 75 years ago because I believe it explains much of what we are experiencing in America today. In 1951, psychologist Solomon Asch, A-S-C-H, gathered college students in a room. He showed them 3 lines and asked a simple question. The question: which line matches the sample? Well, needless to say, the answer is obvious, but everyone else in the room, secretly working with the researchers, they all gave the wrong answer. One after another. They all agreed on the obvious lie. Then it was the student's turn. Would he trust his own eyes or the crowd? The results, of course, shocked the scientific community. Over 1/3 of participants knowingly gave the wrong answer simply because everyone else gave the wrong answer. They were not unintelligent. They were not blind. They were all human. Asch proved something profound. This is what he proved. Social pressure can become more powerful than observable reality. Read that again because it's very important to today. Social pressure can become more powerful than observable reality. Now, here's another question for you. Did the Asch experiment ever really end? Or has technology transformed the Asch experiment from a laboratory experiment to everyday life? Think about the last 30 years. That would be our children's lifetime. They were born 1994, 96. Between 1994 and 2026, the internet, smartphones, and social media did not invent conformity. They didn't invent conformity. They amplified conformity. Instead of 8 people sitting around a table, today, billions of people sit behind screens as you and I are right now. I'm sitting in front of the screen. The pressure no longer comes from classmates alone. The pressure comes from algorithms, influencers, news organizations, corporations, universities, celebrities, and sometimes even the government. And we have seen examples across our culture. Many Americans questioned whether biological males should compete in women's sports, but felt uncomfortable saying so publicly. During the unrest of 2020, the summer of love, some people say funnily, being funny, some people believed media descriptions such as, quote unquote, mostly peaceful protests did not fully match what they were seeing in cities experiencing significant violence and property destruction. How about the COVID lab leak? The COVID lab leak hypothesis was initially dismissed in many public conversation as outside the bounds of acceptable discussion, yet later became a subject of mainstream investigation and debate. Questions surrounding transgender policies in female prisons, female locker rooms, bathrooms, and other sex-separated spaces have likewise become highly contentious, with many people saying they hesitate to voice their opinions because of social consequences. We have also witnessed recurring disputes over how crime statistics and immigration-related crime are reported, interpreted, or emphasized by different political leaders and media outlets. Now, you may agree or disagree with every one of those examples, and that's not my point. Here is my point. In each of these debates, many Americans have said they felt pressure to remain silent because disagreeing with the prevailing narrative could bring professional, academic, or social consequences. That is the lesson of Solomon Asch. The facts surrounding an issue may be debated, but the power of conformity is not. Now let's bring this home. Are we seeing this pressure in our schools, be it public, private, or charter? Many parents believe we are. They worry that students quickly learn there are certain opinions that earn approval. They get those clicks on the like, and certain opinions that carry consequences. Whether the topic is biology, race, politics, history, or public policy, children, and many adults too, but we're talking about children, naturally want acceptance. Every child, I'm going to say adult too, but maybe less, but every child wants to belong. That's exactly what Asch discovered. When acceptance becomes more important than truth, conformity wins. And if conformity wins often enough, critical thinking begins to disappear. So what happens, again, I like go 30 years from now? Imagine a generation that looks to algorithms before evidence. Generation that waits for social media to decide what is acceptable before speaking. Generation that fears cancellation more than being wrong. That measures truth by popularity instead of reality. We're almost done. Artificial intelligence and deepfakes will only make the challenge greater. The more difficult it becomes to know what is real, the more important it becomes to have the courage to trust evidence over consensus. The more important it becomes to have the courage to trust evidence over consensus. So, how do we resist this, Paul? Thank you for asking. Parents, you must stay engaged. Know what is being taught. Read the curriculum. Again, attend the school board meetings. You heard this last week. Teach your children history, civics, biology, and, perhaps most importantly, critical thinking. Encourage your children to ask questions, to examine evidence, to treat every person with dignity and respect. But never their conscience simply because a crowd demands it. One more time. Never to surrender their conscience simply because a crowd demands it. Because every great advance in history began with someone willing to stand apart from the majority. If we want to protect the future of the next generation, and we should, because that's been part of our culture in the United States, we must teach them to trust their own eyes before the crowd, to value evidence over applause, truth over popularity, and courage over comfort. Because courage begins the moment one voice dares to break the consensus. So until next time, stay involved, stay informed, and never stop asking what your children are being taught. because the future of the United States of America is being shaped one classroom at a time. I'll see you next time in the school parking lot. Thanks.